You're doing everything right. You've got the decent job, the promotion you worked for, the house in a nice neighborhood, and a car that starts every morning. You're checking all the boxes. You are winning on paper. So why does it feel like you're losing? Why does it feel like everyone else is sprinting ahead while you're just trying to keep your head above water? That nagging feeling isn't in your head. It's the result of a system you didn't sign up for. Because the very things we're taught to chase, the big house, the new car, the lifestyle that says you made it, those are the same things quietly holding you back. Not all at once, just gradually, month after month, until one morning you realize you've been working harder than ever, but staying in the exact same spot. 74% of Americans have a financial regret, and for people in their 40s and 50s, the biggest regret isn't spending too much on vacations. It's not saving for retirement early enough. But here's what usually gets left out of that conversation. Most of those people didn't fail to save because they were careless. They failed because they walked into traps that looked like good decisions. Traps that felt like progress, but were actually digging a hole. And today, I'm going to show you how to break it, so you can finally stop being still poor in your 30s and 40s. These aren't the obvious ones like credit card debt, the normal ones, the ones disguised as responsible adulthood, the ones that are probably affecting you right now without you even realizing it. This isn't financial advice, but understanding these traps is the difference between feeling busy forever and actually getting ahead. Let's start with the first trap. And it's an emotional one, the "I deserve it" upgrade. You've had a hard year. You've been grinding. So when that promotion comes, or when you get that tax refund, or when you finish paying off a small debt, you tell yourself, "I deserve this." And you go buy something expensive, a new car, a vacation that costs twice what you planned, a kitchen renovation you didn't need. Here's the hard truth. You do deserve nice things, but you don't deserve them at the expense of your future. I've seen people making $150,000 a year who are more stressed about money than when they made $50,000. Why? Because their "I deserve it" list grew faster than their paycheck. That normal habit, treating every income bump as permission to upgrade, is exactly why so many people in their 30s and 40s are still poor. They're earning more, but they're keeping less. The fix is simple, but it takes discipline. Decide before the money comes in what you'll do with it. When you get a raise, decide in advance what you'll do. 50% goes to your future, investments, debt payoff, retirement, and 50% goes to lifestyle. That way, you do get to enjoy more, but you also get to move forward instead of just treading water. Now, the second trap is one that catches almost everyone, the monthly car payment trap. This one is everywhere, and it's designed to keep you poor forever. The average monthly payment on a new car is now over $730, and nearly 1 in 5 new car buyers are committing to payments over $1,000 a month. Here's the kicker. More than 22% of borrowers are taking out 84-month loans just to make those payments feel manageable. 7 years of payments on something that's losing value the moment you drive it off the lot. You walk onto a car lot. The car you like is $50,000. But the dealer doesn't talk about $50,000. They talk about $699 a month. That's easy, you think. I can afford $699. But here's what they don't tell you. That $699 payment locks you into years of paying interest, full coverage insurance, and a car that's depreciating every single day. And this trap is especially dangerous in your 30s and 40s because this is when income rises and lifestyle inflation kicks in. You got a raise, so you upgrade the car. Your neighbor bought a new SUV, so yours looks outdated. These pressures are constant, and they drain wealth silently. Here's what that normal habit actually costs. If you're paying $750 for a car, that's $9,000 a year. Over a 6-year loan, you'll pay $54,000. When you're done, the car will be worth maybe $15,000 to $20,000. You've lost over $35,000 to depreciation, and that's before insurance, gas, and maintenance. Now imagine this. Instead of that $750 payment, you bought a reliable used car for $18,000 cash or financed it for 3 years at $300 a month. The difference? $450 a month, invested in an index fund averaging 8% returns. Over 25 years would grow to over $400,000. That's not a car payment. That's a retirement account. You're trading for a slightly nicer seat warmer. The trap feels normal because everyone does it. But normal is what keeps you average. If you want to stop being still poor in your 30s and 40s, you have to stop treating your biggest depreciating asset like it's an investment. The third trap is sneaky because it hides in plain sight. The slow bleed of small subscriptions. The just a few subscriptions trap. 5 years ago, you had Netflix. Now you have Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Max, Spotify, Apple storage, a gym membership you don't use, a meditation app, a meal kit delivery, and a dozen other $10 to $20 charges that barely register. Add them up. For the average household, it's $800 to $1,200 a year. That's a month's rent in some cities, just disappearing in small chunks. But the real trap isn't the money. It's the mindset. When you stop tracking small expenses, you stop tracking any expenses. And that's how you end up at the end of the year wondering why you didn't save anything. Here's a rule that changes everything. Once a quarter, sit down and audit every subscription. Ask yourself, if I had to sign up for this again today, would I? You'll be shocked how many you cancel. And that money, automatically redirect it to your retirement account. Future you will thank you. Let's move to the biggest purchase you'll ever make, the fourth trap. The housing mistake nobody warns you about. The trap is buying a house based on what the bank says you can afford, not what your actual life requires. The bank pre-approves you for $450,000. You think, great, I can afford a $450,000 house. But here's the problem. The bank's definition of affordable has nothing to do with your actual life. A lender calculates the maximum you can pay without defaulting immediately. The bank doesn't know you have daycare costs. They don't know you want to save for college. They don't know you're saving for retirement or building an emergency fund. They calculate what you can survive on, not what you can thrive on. But here's what the data shows. Owning a median-priced home now consumes nearly 48% of the median household's income. Almost half of everything you earn goes to one expense. The traditional definition of affordable housing says you should spend no more than 30%. We've blown past that by a mile. Here's what happens when you stretch to buy the bigger house. You're approved for $400,000. It's beautiful. Extra bedroom, nice kitchen, yard for the kids. But after the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, utilities, you have nothing left. You're house rich and cash poor. And suddenly, every unexpected expense, a broken AC, a medical bill, becomes a crisis. You stop contributing to retirement because there's nothing left. The smarter move, buy at 70% of what the bank approves. If they say $450,000, look at homes around $315,000. That gap gives you breathing room. It lets you save, invest, and actually live in your home without being a slave to it. I know that sounds conservative, but a smaller house with financial margin is infinitely better than a bigger house with constant stress. And when you have margin, you can invest that extra cash, and compound interest becomes your best friend instead of your enemy. Now, the fifth trap is brutal because there's often no way around it. The childcare squeeze. The average cost of daycare in the United States is over $17,000 per year for one infant. In expensive states, it's over $24,000. For two children, families are paying around $28,000 a year. In some places, that's more than rent. Parents report childcare consumes about 20% of their household income. This creates a devastating squeeze during precisely the years when you should be building wealth. Your 30s and early 40s are supposed to be prime earning and saving years. Instead, families are treading water, barely covering childcare while putting almost nothing toward retirement. The trap isn't childcare itself. You need childcare. The trap is not accounting for it before you make other commitments. People buy expensive houses, lease expensive cars, then discover they can't afford quality childcare. Or they can afford childcare, but nothing else. If you're planning to have children, factor childcare into your housing decision. Factor it into your car decision. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself in the same spot so many others do. Working hard, earning decent money, yet still feeling poor. The sixth trap doesn't feel like a trap at all. The pressure to keep up with everyone around you. The keeping up trap. Your friends start buying lake houses. Your coworkers go to Europe every summer. Your neighbors just got a Tesla. And without realizing it, you start feeling pressure to match them. You tell yourself they're doing it, so it must be possible. But you don't see the whole picture. Maybe they inherited money. Maybe they're drowning in debt. Maybe their spouse earns twice what yours does. Or maybe they simply started earlier and saved longer. The trap is measuring your success by their spending. Here's the antidote. Stop comparing your insides to someone else's outsides. The only person you need to be ahead of is the person you were a year ago. If your savings rate is up, if your retirement contributions are on track, if you're paying down debt, that's winning. The moment you stop trying to keep up, you free up a massive amount of money. Money that can go toward your goals, not someone else's image. And the seventh trap, the debt normalization trap. Americans owe nearly $19 trillion in consumer debt. The average household carries over $15,000 in debt. People in their 40s and 50s hold more debt than any other age group. And here's what's wild. This feels normal. Everyone has a mortgage. Everyone has a car payment. Most people have credit card balances. Student loans stretch into your 40s. When debt is universal, it stops feeling like a problem. It just feels like life. But debt has a compound cost. Just like investments have compound growth, credit card interest rates exceed 20%. If you carry a $6,000 balance and make minimum payments, you'll pay that debt for decades and spend thousands in interest. Meanwhile, that money isn't being invested. The normalization of debt is the trap. Just because everyone around you is in debt doesn't mean it's optimal. Aggressively paying down high-interest debt should be treated like an emergency, not a casual multi-year project. Every dollar of credit card interest is a dollar that could have been growing in your retirement account. And finally, the eighth trap steals more futures than any other. The "I'll start tomorrow" trap. You know you should save for retirement. You know you should invest. But right now, there's always something more urgent. The house needs repairs. The kids need braces. You'll start next year when things settle down. But next year comes and the same thing happens. And before you know it, you're in your 40s or 50s with barely anything saved. More than half of households have no dedicated retirement savings. And even those who do often don't have enough. Here's the math. If you start investing $500 a month at age 30, by 65, you could have over $1 million. If you wait until 40, you'd need to invest over $1,200 a month to catch up. Waiting costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars. The normal habit of procrastinating is one of the biggest reasons people in their 30s and 40s are still poor. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they've normalized the idea that retirement is a later problem. The fix is simple. Start now. Even with $50 a month, automate it. Because the money you invest in your 30s and 40s does the hardest work of your entire life. Here's what makes these traps so dangerous. They don't operate in isolation. They compound. The financial stress builds, so lifestyle inflation creeps in. Lifestyle inflation leaves nothing for retirement, and you're too busy managing everything to fix it. By the time you recognize the pattern, you're caught in a web of decisions that all seemed reasonable, but create suffocation together. This is why so many people are still poor in their 30s and 40s. Not because of one huge mistake, but because of a series of normal decisions that drain their wealth. Now imagine the opposite. You buy a modest house with room to breathe. You drive a reliable used car and invest the difference. You plan for childcare before committing to other expenses. You save half of every raise. You pay down debt aggressively. You start investing early. Do all of that, and you're not running on a treadmill. You're making real progress, building real wealth, creating real options. You stop being still poor and start becoming financially free. The traps I've described aren't about personal failure. They're built into the environment. Banks profit when you borrow more. Car dealers profit when you finance more. The system is designed to capture every dollar before you can save it. You're not bad at money. You're in an environment optimized to separate you from it. But once you see it, you can start making different choices. If you're in your 30s, you have time. Use it. Start now, even small amounts. If you're in your 40s, you still have time, but less of it. Be more aggressive. Cut what doesn't matter. Prioritize wealth over lifestyle. The traps are real, but so is the path around them. You just have to be willing to walk it and stop treating what keeps you poor as normal. If this video made you think differently about money, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because there's a lot more coming on how to reclaim freedom in a system designed to take it